Imagine a bar of soap, a common household item, turning into a lethal weapon. As unimaginable as it may sound, this was the disturbing reality of a shocking crime committed by Heather Watson. In a chilling turn of events, Watson transformed an everyday object into a tool of brutality. She used a bar of soap, placed inside a sock, to beat a disabled man named Josh Taylor to his tragic end. But the brutality didn't stop there. Taylor was subjected to further torment in the form of waterboarding, before his lifeless body was abandoned in a pond. This horrifying act of violence left many in disbelief, struggling to comprehend the sheer inhumanity of Watson's actions. In the aftermath of this unthinkable crime, Watson was arrested. She later struck a plea deal with the Ballinger County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, admitting guilt to second-degree murder. A co-defendant, Joshua Proffer, followed suit, also pleading guilty to the same charge. Yet despite the closure of the case, one chilling question lingers. The question remains, what could possibly drive someone to commit such a horrendous act? Josh Taylor, a disabled man, the unsuspecting victim of this horrifying crime. Let's delve into the life of Josh Taylor before this unthinkable act occurred. Josh was an ordinary man, living in the heartland of Missouri. Despite his disability, he was known for his resilience and strength. He lived a quiet life, a life that was, tragically, to be cut short in the most brutal of ways. He had a connection, a bond, with Heather Watson and Joshua Proffer. Their lives were intertwined in ways that may never fully be understood. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the people closest to us can harbor the darkest of intentions. The discovery of Josh's body is a scene that still sends shivers down the spine. Deputies found him in a pond, his body bearing the signs of a merciless assault. The injuries were extensive: bruising, lacerations, and disturbing ligature marks. This was not a quick act of violence, but a prolonged, deliberate, and savage attack. A witness came forward painting a horrifying picture of Josh's final moments. He was restrained, helpless, as Heather Watson assaulted him. All the while, Joshua Proffer was there giving instructions, orchestrating this dance of death. To think about the fear and pain Josh must have felt is heart-wrenching. A disabled man, unable to defend himself, subjected to such a monstrous act. And the weapon of choice? A bar of soap in a sock? An everyday item turned into a tool of destruction? It's a chilling reminder of how ordinary objects can be used in extraordinary and horrifying ways. A life was stolen that day, Josh Taylor's life. A man who, despite his disability, had so much more to give. A man who deserved so much better. His story serves as a stark reminder of the evil that can lurk in the most unexpected places. A life cut short, a mystery left in its wake. Heather Watson and Joshua Proffer, two names forever linked to a chilling crime. Heather Watson, originally hailing from Missouri, might be seen as an ordinary woman. She was known to her neighbors as a quiet, private individual. But beneath this facade hid a sinister side, a side that would later expose her as a cold-blooded killer. On the other side of this dreadful duet is Joshua Proffer. Known for his distinctively quiet demeanor, he was often overlooked. But it was his silent nature that made his role in this horrifying act all the more shocking. Their connection to the victim, Josh Taylor, was a complex one. Taylor, a disabled man, was in the wrong place at the wrong time, crossing paths with Watson and Proffer. Although the specifics of their relationship remain murky, what is clear is that it ended in a brutal, senseless act of violence. Following the discovery of Taylor's body, Watson and Proffer were swiftly arrested. The evidence against them was damning. Deputies found Taylor's body bearing multiple injuries, including bruising, lacerations, and ligature marks. A witness came forward, stating that Taylor was restrained and assaulted by Watson, with Proffer playing a significant role, giving instructions throughout the ordeal. Their trial was swift. Watson and Proffer reached a plea deal with the Ballinger County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. They both pled guilty to second-degree murder, each receiving a 25-year prison sentence. A plea deal sealed their fate, but not the motive behind their actions. A brutal crime calls for a meticulous investigation. In the wake of Josh Taylor's untimely death, the law enforcement officers of Ballinger County, Missouri, were tasked with the daunting job of uncovering the truth. The investigation was like piecing together a macabre puzzle, with each fragment revealing a darker aspect of the crime. The first clue was the body itself. Taylor's corpse bore the telltale signs of a violent struggle: bruising, lacerations, and ligature marks. The cause of death was not immediately apparent, but the extent of injuries hinted at a prolonged, brutal assault. The second piece of the puzzle was the discovery of a peculiar weapon, a bar of soap in a sock. Unconventional, yet deadly in the right hands. The investigators theorized that this crude device was used to inflict the injuries found on Taylor, but clues and speculation were not enough. The investigators needed evidence, something concrete that would lead them to the perpetrators, and it came in the form of a witness. This individual, whose identity remains confidential, provided the investigators with the final piece of the puzzle. They recounted the chilling details of the crime, painting a picture of a restrained Taylor, assaulted mercilessly by Heather Watson, under the instructions of Joshua Proffer. The witness's testimony was the breakthrough the investigators needed. It corroborated the physical evidence and provided a clear link to Watson and Proffer. The pair were promptly arrested, and the charges of second-degree murder were filed against them. Despite the triumph of a successful investigation, one question haunted the officers: the motive. Why did Watson and Proffer commit such a horrific act? What drove them to take the life of a disabled man in such a cruel manner? The wheels of justice were in motion, but the motive remained elusive. In the courtroom, the final chapter of this macabre tale unfolded. The prosecution and defense laid out their cases, painting a chilling picture of the events that led to the tragic demise of Josh Taylor. The evidence was overwhelming, the details gruesome, and the atmosphere in the courtroom was thick with anticipation. Heather Watson, the woman at the center of this disturbing case, had struck a plea deal with the Bollinger County Prosecuting Attorney's Office. She pled guilty to second-degree murder, admitting her role in the brutal assault that ended Taylor's life. Her co-defendant, Joshua Proffer, followed suit, also pleading guilty to second-degree murder. As the judge delivered the sentences, a hush fell over the courtroom. Watson and Proffer, both found guilty, received identical sentences: 25 years in prison. The verdict was met with mixed reactions. Some breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that justice had been served, while others were left grappling with the severity of the crime and the sentence. The victim's family was present during the sentencing, their faces etched with grief and disbelief. They listened as the fate of their loved one's killers was sealed. Although they had been seeking justice, the finality of the sentencing brought little comfort. The loss of their son, brother, and friend was irreplaceable, a void that no verdict could ever fill. As the gavel fell, marking the end of the trial, the public was left with mixed feelings. There was relief, yes, but also a sense of unease. The brutal nature of the crime, the senseless loss of a life, and the cold, calculated manner in which it was carried out left many shaken. Justice was served, but the question lingered. Why? A crime solved, perpetrators sentenced, but one question remains unanswered. The motive behind this heinous act still remains shrouded in mystery. Speculations abound, theories run rampant, yet no definitive answer has been given. Was it a crime of passion, a momentary lapse of reason, or a calculated act of cold-blooded malice? This unanswered question casts a long shadow over the community, leaving a chilling sense of unease in its wake. It's a sobering reminder that sometimes, the most frightening monsters are those that walk among us, hidden in plain sight. The impact of this crime on the victim's family is immeasurable. A loved one was taken from them in the most brutal way imaginable, and the lingering question of why only adds to their torment. The story of Heather Watson and Joshua Proffer serves as a stark lesson in the depths of human depravity, a tragic tale of a life lost too soon, and a mystery that may never truly be solved. A question mark hangs over this case, a chilling reminder of the dark mysteries that lurk in the human mind.